And there's one item in particular that is contained in the Budget Implementation Act, the BIA, that has caused me to receive more feedback than any other single issue in my 7 years as a parliamentarian, and that's the Alto high-speed rail project. Now, Alto is a Crown corporation, and it's going to, it proposes to run a high-speed train from Toronto with stops in Toronto, Peterborough, Ottawa, and on to Quebec City with stops including in Montreal. But it would pass through my region and is proposed to pass through my community. And the overwhelming feedback that I've received is that this is going to have a detrimental effect for many, many people on homes, on farms, on recreational properties, for small businesses, and for the environment, for historic sites. And I want to get into a couple of those things. If you think about a high-speed rail project, this is a train that's going to be traveling at a few hundred kilometers per hour. There's no at-grade crossings or level crossings. So that means that everywhere there's a road that intersects with the path of this train requires an overpass, a vehicle overpass. And so this corridor that would be, up to 200 feet wide, it's going to cut through the communities that it's proposed to pass through, with large fences on either sides severing roads. Now, I want to say that not only have I heard feedback from my community, I've also spoken with the proponent, with Alto, this Crown corporation. And I've asked them, will there be overpasses at every road that it intersects with? The answer was no. So this is a problem. This is going to orphan all kinds of properties, roads. It's going to create tremendous challenges with emergency response times, which are already challenging in rural areas. It's also going to pass through the Frontenac Arch biosphere. This is a UNESCO-recognized biosphere. It's the people who live in our community. We know the rare and many different types of flora and fauna that exist in the region and in the Frontenac Arch biosphere. Heritage sites, buildings and monuments older than our country itself, including the Rideau Canal, would be disturbed, upset, destroyed by this project. And you think about the individual properties. Well, I've heard from hundreds of people within the proposed corridor who've said they are not going to sell. And that means that there's going to be expropriations. We heard from the minister at committee this week that those properties will be acquired this year. But when you have a project of this scale, and if it's something that's supposed to bring Canadians together, you would expect that with all of these impacts that I've tried to mention very quickly, and I know that there are many more, that there would be consultations in the communities where it would be passing through. Did I mention there's no stop in our community? So this is something that's going to pass through. There's going to be no service to the region, and it's going to cost $90 billion. Well, that's the estimate from Alto, from the government. But there are many experts who say it will cost many orders of magnitude more than that. But when we're talking about a $90 billion project, in my community, that means thousands of dollars in cost per household for a train service with fares that aren't even being estimated yet, that many would never be able to afford. They can't afford the prices on Via Rail currently. And it is expected and all but assured that prices on Alto will be higher. So with all of that, you would expect that there would have been a consultation in our community. Well, they told us to drive to another county, drive to another district, and we'd be happy to provide you with the pitch there. That's what they've been told. That's not a dialogue. And the people who've reached out to me, whether they own seasonal properties, some of whom won't have returned to their seasonal properties yet this year before finding out that the consultation period is closed. You know, I've sent postcards to every business and residence in my riding, asking people to participate, to solicit their feedback so I can provide it to the minister, so I can provide it to Alto. And they're going to be able to fill out that survey at michaelbarrettmp.ca. It's my parliamentary website. It's michaelbarrettmp.ca. And it's important that folks are able to provide their feedback about something that's going to affect them very deeply. Properties, businesses, homes that have been in a family for generations. And I think about the folks who've reached out to me about their grandchildren, about the next generation they hope to have take on their farm, an intergenerational farm transfer, their business to go to their children, or to have their grandkids play in the yard. I think about what that would mean for me. You know, if I look at my children, at Luke, at Emma, at Michaela, at James, at Nathan. You know, Amanda and I are so proud of them, and watching them grow up, this is our dream. And to be told that your property's going to be taken away from you, we're going to tell you what it's worth, take it or leave it, but don't worry, it's for a really important project, for infrastructure you'll never use, and you can't afford to pay for. This isn't the kind of thing that brings Canadians together. We have so much work to do in Canada. We have so much work to do to build projects that would unite us. We're a country rich in natural resources, but we don't have the infrastructure to get them to tidewater. We've got areas that are looking for very specific transit projects that would help people in dense urban areas who are looking for projects like this in corridors that exist. But that's not what we're seeing here. What we're seeing is a proposal that would violate the rights of many thousands of Canadians, and they're not even being asked what they think about it. When a Crown corporation is prepared to expropriate properties in a community, but isn't prepared to go to the community first to meet people where they live, well, this isn't something that's being done with the best interest of Canadians in mind. So no, I don't have a property that's in the corridor, but I represent a community that has many who do. And when I think about my kids, I think about their kids. I think about people who work tirelessly just to afford the dream of home ownership, or to be able to have a roof over their head, to farm the land, to feed our country. And so I'm opposed. I'm opposed to Alto HSR, and I'm going to vote against it. And it's for my community, it's for this generation, it's for the next, it's for Canada.
Questions and comments. Question commentaire, the Honourable Member for Hamilton West Ancaster Dundas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For a moment there, I thought I was back in Hamilton City Council on Planning Committee, because every single time there is a project that comes forward, we hear the exact same rhetoric from retail politicians that want to stand in the way because it's politically expedient. Every single industrialized economy in the world, whether it's Europe, China, Japan, except for maybe the US, has a high-speed rail network that brings their country together as an alternative to air travel. So my question, I guess, is why not take a leadership role to make this project the best that it can be for your community, instead of just taking the easy way out to say you're opposed and get in the way? Thank you.
Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
The corridor that's being proposed to be serviced has a very well-established highway. It has the 401. We also, in that very same corridor, have rail service. Via Rail services that. We're not talking about enhancing the service that exists, taking cars off the road that way. Via continues to reduce service offerings. But instead, what's being proposed is not, as the member offers, a service to folks in my community. It's quite the opposite. It's a disservice to them at their own expense. I can't abide it. This isn't about not in my backyard. I don't think it should be in anyone's backyard.
Député Joliet Manawan.
The Honourable Member for Joliet Manawan. I'd like to thank my colleague for his speech. I have another question about the question of high-speed rail and the part of C-15 that would remove rights from people who are expropriated. I recently went to the town of Berthier, near Joliet in my riding, to the consultations, and I saw that there was a major protest from concerned farmers because there's a 10-kilometer wide area to determine where the route will be, and there will be no way for people to seek remedy. If there's something that happens to an agricultural building, they won't be able to be renovated or replaced for years. And what I also heard from farmers is that they don't know if they'll be able to somehow cross the route on an overpass. They reminded me that it took years for one to be built in that area, so they are concerned the same thing will happen again. Are we showing a lack of respect to our farmers in this part of C-15?
Member for Leeds, Grenville, Towson Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Merci pour la question.
I'd like to thank my colleague for the question. I have a lot of concerns about this bill.
That we're talking about are going to affect many people. And this is something that when I specifically asked in this case, would they guarantee that people would continue to be able to travel in the same way? And being able to get a car over top of an overpass is one thing. Well, what about a combine? What about large farming equipment? What about transportation? With tractor trailers, 18-wheelers. And the consultation process is not being done in earnest, and we must respect. I cannot believe that at a time when we need to protect our food sovereignty, that this kind of disrespect would be shown to agricultural producers and farmers in this country. We can't abide it.
Questions and comments, member for Calgary. The member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyandanega, about 40 seconds.
Perfect. I respect and I applaud the member beside me to come out with such a strong statement against Alto. I understand we share similar demographics and we both ridings affected by this project. Could I please ask the member to elaborate on some of the concerns and or feedback that he's getting from his constituents and why, as in the role of opposition, he's so able to speak against it?
Member for Leeds, Grenville, Towson Islands, Rideau Lakes in about 40 seconds or less.
Well, I appreciate the question from the honourable member for Hastings, Lennox, Addington, Tyandanega, because I know that her community is rightly concerned as well. And the honourable member has expressed her concerns and opposition to this project for the effects that it's going to have on private properties, on farms, on small businesses, on homes, on heritage sites, on the environment, with no benefit to those in the community and at great cost. And I appreciate that, we have that opportunity, but it's such an important role that we play in His Majesty's loyal opposition to be able to offer the alternative view and to be able to stand up for our constituents, to stand up for Canadians, and I applaud her for her work in doing that.